Welcome to the Devon Messinger Show. We are back with another year of football. I don't know what year it is, but it feels like year 7 or 8. It could be year 24 at this rate, but time just flies by. Now, this is a new year of Longhorn football with HornSports, and a new year means some new faces. I'm going to say Dylan gave us the best run he could. He tagged the bullpen, and now we're tapping on to JC, Jacob Campos, the man, the myth, the legend himself. I'm going to have him in here right now. Boof, he just popped up on the screen to talk a little bit about himself before we start talking about why the Longhorns will win the championship and why they won't be winning the championship as well. What's holding them back potentially? JC, it's your turn to shine.
Evan, what's going on, man? Just wanted to just go ahead and say thank you for the opportunity. For all of those listening and watching out here, like you said, my name is JC, Jacob Campos. I got a bit of a background coming over from my own podcast. I ran for about 2.5 years with Evan Veith, who you might recognize that name. He's now
The
the beat
GOAT.
reporter for Inside Texas. So, I like to say one of us made it in our careers, but so we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Now, Devin, you want me to start with the good, or you want me to start with the bad? I'll go either way today.
Let's start with the bad. I know you like being a negative Nancy right off the bat, so let's just get that out of the way. Why will the Longhorns not win the championship this year? Of course, we got both perspectives on this one, but JC, what's gonna stop them in the end?
Yeah, absolutely. And Devin, I think you're right. I just think for all the listeners out there, I got a little bit of bias, I got a little bit of negativity, but I always admit when I'm wrong, so we'll be good to go. Devin, I'm cool with it. If you just want to go a little bit of back one and fourth, kind of just go over our points. But for me, it kind of all starts. Had a couple of options here, but right now my biggest thing is gonna be just overall the gauntlet of the schedule. And you can pinpoint. We're gonna look at positions, but we're gonna start with the schedule. Why? Well, obviously, week one. Where are we going? I don't know. Have you heard? We're going to Columbus, Ohio. We're going to Athens, Georgia. We've got a neutral site game this year in Dallas, as always in the Red River. We're going to Gainesville, and I'm gonna say it too. Kentucky, borderline trap game. But look,
No.
this year Texas. Obviously, we all know the road schedule. We know how dominant this team has been on the road the last 2 years. But look, we're going on the road all of October. We're playing number 5, number 8, and number 10 PFF rated teams on the road. This OU team, they reloaded the clip. Ed Venables is coaching for his job this year. He's not coaching just to coach. He's got something to prove. But guess what? So does their quarterback and so does their offensive coordinator, who both already have 1 year of prior playing experience together at Washington State. Look, I'm high on Oklahoma this year, and I will tell anybody that. But look, I'm always aware of Oklahoma. Obviously, we know what happens when you don't prepare for Oklahoma. And honestly, I'll say it. Kentucky lost 13 to 12 last year against UGA. Super early first kind of conference game of the year. But what they do? 2 weeks later, they went on the road and they beat Ole Miss. Any given week in the SEC, right? That's what the Netflix that's what
Oh
the Netflix show
gosh.
calls it.
How
I'll
much
say it
Kool-Aid have you
any
been
given
drinking
week.
this offseason, JC? You finished the SEC
Oh,
dog?
it's
I,
all
I
in,
don't
man.
think
I'm on the
I've heard the
Cowboys
end of
talk
it,
next.
guys. He's being very tame right now. He's a bit of an SEC guy over here. But you think that
Bit of
Gauntlet's
an
going to
SEC
slow him
homer.
down? Oklahoma, you're talking about Venables coaching for his job, but you're not scared about just the offensive discontinuity, which we might talk a little bit about for Texas too. Oklahoma, of course, missing plenty of talent last season, but you're feeling a little nervous going into the year. It sounds like across the board.
You have to feel a little nervous. And you know what? I am a bit of a homer, but you have to acknowledge that, yeah, this team's gone 13 to 0, or I believe, I'm actually not sure. Don't quote me on that one again for the road
They're
record.
going to
But,
be winning a lot of games, is what he's saying.
it's not like this team has always had the ability to step on people's throats and to close it out and finish on a very strong note. That's never kind of been our thing for a lot of cases. So, yeah, I mean, in a schedule like this, in a year where more than ever there's eyes on Texas, like somebody's gonna be waiting for us to flip up, and that can happen early in the year. It can happen in October, and it can even happen in November. So for me, that's just something to be aware of heading into this year.
Very fair, JC schedule. I also know that people will kind of poke fun at the Texas schedule, maybe not being one of the toughest in the country, of course. However, as you're talking about some of the teams that lost balance in recent years, they're back. They're bound to be better than what they were last year. Not saying they're going to be, college football playoff contenders, but I think they are going to be able to make a better run, of course, for themselves than last season. But also, JC, just looking at the Horns themselves, I know I talked about inexperience a second ago. That offense for Texas, fairly inexperienced. They don't have quite the seasoning that you want on that steak just yet. Now, does that concern you at all? I know Arch Manning, of course, being the guy for Texas, does open up some different opportunities that I'll talk about later. But not only Arch, just new faces in general. You got the returners at running back, but how are you feeling offensively? And it doesn't have to be exclusive to the skill positions.
Devin, I'm actually glad you said that because those were my last 2 points I had for why we won't win this year. That's just going to be due to the fact that the O line, it's an experience for, you got Campbell, you got Gooseby, you got Cole Huston, who's all had meaningful, valuable snaps. I mean, DJ's a starter, but let's be honest here. We've got, especially after the injury to Kojo, we don't got a lot of depth. We don't got a lot of valuable playing snaps once you get past that O line, once you get past that front five. That's something to be aware of. And even last year, you look at Texas's four worst games running the football, we went 1-3, and we were 1 4 and 13, catch away from being 0-4. This team can struggle against starting the run, starting the drive, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. And also, let's be real. I think I heard Cam Williams' name. It felt like once every single quarter last season for a penalty. So yes, Texas, even last year with an experienced O line, they struggled sometimes. And when they struggled, the entire offense fell flat. That's something to be aware of. But also, Devin, I want to hear your opinion on
Oh
this
boy.
and how we're feeling about it. It's the skill position for me. I'm a little concerned. You look at last year, you look what happened against Ohio State. Matt Golden got banged up, missed portions of that game. Isaiah Bond was clearly hurt. Jonte Cook left the season, left the locker room halfway through the year. No Cedric Baxter, no Christian Clark. And also, QB1, he wasn't healthy the majority of that season, which we can all kind of acknowledge, now that time's passed. That oblique at that ankle, it was really there. And it's just, I think even now, more than last year, if we have, I mean, Mosley's not even completely healthy right now. Once you get past DeAndre Moore, once you get past Ryan Wingo, it's just inexperience. And for me, that's a big reason to be concerned right now.
You're talking about the running backs a little bit and inexperience in some ways, even when you look at that position group, which is supposed to be one of the more experienced just units of the offense. CJ Baxter coming back. We're going to see how he does. Of course, all Longhorns fans hope he does what he did before the injury. Still to be determined, though. That's a reason to be just cautious, I think is the best word. And overall, really, JC, on that note, too, injuries are always something that can hold a team back. I know we're talking about the negative. You're not hoping to see any of these, but some injuries have already popped up in fall camp
Sure.
heading into the season. But just to talk about your skill position group, the fear for me, of course, being the new face is just taking some time to really get used to the system. There's a lot of talent there, so I don't think that's going to be a major drawback for the team when you fast forward into November, December. However, you mentioned maybe the nail on the head, the running backs and just being inconsistent, period. Last year when injuries happened to quarterback, and of course, we're gonna name names, JC. I'm not afraid to name names because this is a
Ooh, that's
fair
one of us.
fair fair podcast. We're going on
Yeah.
both sides. Quinn Ewers injured oblique, as you mentioned, along with I'm sure 10 others because he was getting beat up back there. Definitely did not help the team either, just from the injury perspective. Of course, he put on his hard hat and showed up for the Longhorns when they needed him. So credit goes there. But a new year,
Absolutely.
hopefully, just health at that quarterback position helps the team. But when they had to lean more on the running game last year, like you were saying, it just did not go as planned. It seemed like the games where you didn't necessarily need the running backs to be on their A game is when they just went off, and when you needed them, it seemed like it was a little bit too quiet in terms of action. Any last thoughts on that point, or am I way off base?
No, I mean, I think you hit the head on the hammer. And I think the one that really we both overlooked is honestly what happens if Endries gets hurt? God forbid, and I'll knock on wood right here. But if Jack Endries goes down, man, I mean, we're rocking with a true freshman. I think like a redshirt freshman as far as experience goes. So this year more than ever, I mean, it just seems like the last 2 years, Texas has not been fortunate enough to have all their skill players finish out the year healthy. You look back to the 2023 run when Jonathan Brooks went down, one of the bigger what ifs. But even last year, you see all these injuries. You see people leaving the locker room like Jonte Cook in these odd, rare circumstances. But, it's as simple as that. One or two players can make a huge difference. And I think that Sark has really leaned into the idea of the depth matters more than anything because I think the new beautiful thing of what we're talking about today is if you're a Texas Longhorn fan, you're expecting now that we're playing 14, 15, 16 games a season. That should be the new standard. So more than ever, depth is what's important, and these guys need to get these early regular season reps more than people think.
Are we ready to turn optimistic?
I think we are. Yeah, I like to think
Okay.
so.
Okay, we're going to have to hold him back on this one, I think, quite literally. Why UT can do it. The optimistic side, I'm going to start, and you can take it away from there. I talked about the
Let's get it.
seasoning on the steak. JC, the defense, I don't think it can be any better seasoned right now. It is the perfect steak in terms of expectations and talent. I think both of those different just groups of words. I know we're going word salad. Those two are coming together. You've got the team that has needed to be assembled to get to the championship game in place. That team is there. Now it's just about meeting those expectations and getting to that championship game. Something that Texas hasn't been able to do. I got some of the names up for you, JC, so you can just kind of ooh and ah. I mean, you got Ethan Burke coming back. Colin Simmons, as a sophomore, already as a freshman, was a dog. As a sophomore, if we see even slight improvement, that is already insane. And robbed of one of the best freshman awards, I believe, last season, JC. But we're not going to rant. We're going to keep it even. But Ant Hill and Michael Taff, et cetera, et cetera. You really go by position. The defense is set. And Coach K, I mean, defensive coordinator. Part of what I was going to say also about the optimistic side is you got the same coaches at key position groups during Sark's tenure. I know a lot of people don't really care about position coaches, but it does add up. The players are getting the same message over these years. They're not getting mixed signals. They're not getting taught different things. JC, just in terms of the defense, what excites you the most? Is there any player in your eye?
I mean, you hit it. You hit it once again, and I think those were my biggest points. Was in all three phases of this game, it's there. It's Michael Taff. It's the guy who's going to be, in the middle of the butt kiss award all season long in Anthony Hill. Who's he playing alongside? Leano Lafau, who's also there, off ball linebacker Trey Moore, who's now going to get one more year of experience in Austin, get ready for the NFL. It's the transfers like Cole Brevard and Travis Shaw, and it's everywhere. It's Manny Muhammad, Kobe Black. It just oozes talent. And when Sark said we got 15 or 16 starters on this team, I don't know how you can't believe that. I mean, this D-line rotation is going to be going 7 or 8 deep, and
I'm
that's so
excited.
exciting.
I'm
That's
excited.
but for me, the one who stands out is, I think it's got to be my Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year award. I mean, he's
Okay.
going to be he's going to be headhunting all season long, and what is it, 23? 23 is the record. I don't know, but I bet one person in Austin knows what the sack record is for a single season. So I'm not saying we're going to get to that point, but I mean, this defense, it's really amazing how, heading into the 2024 season, we were a little bit concerned about depth and things like that, and the way that this team has showed up. And now our defensive identity, where it's just a clear known factor that you have to go against, in my opinion, the number one defense in the country. And I'm excited, man. But for me, it's really going to happen from Colin Simmons, and it's going to be Michael Taft leading these guys in the back or in the secondary. So I think that Taft's got the guy. He's got the leadership qualities, but I think more often than not, guys like Johnny McDonald, guys like Kobe Black, Manny, Derek Williams coming back off injury. There's just, I mean, I could name 10 more names, and I would if you wouldn't cut me off. But like, there's so much.
No,
There's so
I'm
much to
having
love.
too much fun listening to this. As you're saying, if you look back a couple years ago, you were just praying that you had somebody that you could count on. I mean, in off years, so to speak, Joseph Osai seemed like the one guy the Longhorns could count on defensively. And now you really just have a wealth of riches on defense at every position, like you said. The passing side, I would say, needs to show a little more consistency. Just the Texas pass
Absolutely.
defense. I
Yeah.
know last year against Ohio State, they really just picked apart the Longhorns. It wasn't anything too crazy passing stat wise. I believe Will Howard had just below 300 passing yards, but still in a key game, you're gonna need to be able to step up. And I know, and I hate bringing it up, JC. I hate bringing it up, but Texas against Washington in that Sugar Bowl game in the playoff.
Yeah.
That is why you need your pass defense to be just as strong as your rush defense. But it does help when you have Colin Simmons hunting quarterbacks now. And I think you saw that. I think part of the reason the pass defense got better is just because the pass rush got better. Um, but I'll
Yeah.
let you take it away. Any last thoughts on that point?
I mean, I think I said my guy made my piece. Who's your picking, your early season? This guy's going to be our defensive MVP. This is going to be the one that obviously going to be a lot of people who are always going to remember.
Oh,
But
for
who's
sure.
who's your
Who,
Jo-
who's
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 your
my
Jade
guy?
Barron? Who's your
Right?
Jade Barron?
Oh, see, I love Jade, like a son. He's definitely not my son, but just Ant
Right.
Hill, JC. That's my guy. Jade, I covered him in high school. He was playing Doe Valley. He went to Pflugerville Connolly. You see him play, and you just knew he had the ball skills. That he was a D1 corner and a lockdown one at that. When he went off, like I said, you feel like a proud father. Ant Hill, you've watched him at Denton Ryan. I covered more than a handful of games with him there. You could just tell instantly this is the linebacker that the Longhorns have needed since Derek Johnson way back when. This, JC, I hate to say it, this might be his last year in the burnt orange, and I really would not, think anything other than that. But if it is his last year, what a way to go out, because that means he did do what he came here to do. He balled out and most likely got the team pretty far in postseason play. But talk about Ant Hill. You look fired up just thinking about him. I'm fired up talking
Yeah.
about him.
I mean, it's like you said, it's a bad year if he comes back. That's what's happening 8, 9 times out of 10. I mean, this guy's a walking first round NFL draft pick, and it's clear. And obviously last year he got overlooked, just due to purely seniority. When they gave Danny Stutzman
Oh,
finalist for that Buckus Award.
yeah.
Yeah,
Don't get me
I,
started.
I didn't forget that. I didn't forget
Longhorns
that
favorite,
CFP.
Danny Stutzman.
New Orleans Saints fan favorite, which is really bad for me because I am a diehard now Spencer Rattler believer apparently for the next couple months. But we'll move past that. We'll move past Ant Hill, and we'll move into just a couple of other reasons we're going to win. And I like to caption this one. I said special teams
Ah,
hyphen.
no way.
Enough said. Enough said.
No.
That's
I've got my little cheat sheet here, and I do have special teams on it, so I love that. I mean, JC, how many heart
I
attacks did you
mean,
have last year just from special teams? I now I,
you
I'm gonna
know,
say this. I love Bert Auburn. Okay, there's no shade intended
I didn't
here.
say that.
It's gonna be from me. Not I'm not. I can't speak for you, but I love
Perfect.
Bert Auburn. But that last year, it just night and day difference. I know we've all seen the meme of Sark talking to him before a big kick, hyping him up, and then it just didn't go well. It was inconsistent, and that's really the different position groups that have held Texas back. It's not because they lack talent, just because they haven't been consistent with it. Special teams, why is it looking up? Why is this the year to really just have faith in that group again?
I mean, absolutely. And, I hate to say this in a way that, and this is not to speak ill will on Michael Kern or Bert Auburn. That's not the point of what I'm saying is, but when you hit bottom, you can only go up. And last year, not only in kicking, but in punting, wasn't absolutely the best season out there for the Longhorns. So what they do, they said, this is the SEC. We need veteran guys. So they went out and they got veteran guys. I'm talking two-time all-conference punter. I expect us to do something with the kicks in DKR. He's got such a good last name. Don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's like Baumeister. Baumeister. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm gonna go Baumeister, but your guess is as good as mine. hopefully we
He
don't
got a
need to
big
know.
leg, man.
Hopefully we don't need to know that name. You know, that's our wish. But if we know it by week 2, we might know how a week 1 went, right?
Hopefully you're right. Hopefully we see him twice. But look, he's led the Big 12 in regular season punting. He's a two-time all-conference player. Last year he had 13 punts that went for 50 plus yards, had quite a few get down inside the 20. Texas only had 4 of those. And turning attention over to Burt Auburn, like you said, just an up and down year. I mean, even with Michigan, you go back and you rewatch that game, had an early miss there, kind of set the tone for the season, and he just wasn't able to execute at a high level. So they bring in Mason Shipley, Texas State kicker. Yeah, sure, whatever. He came from Texas State. This is a guy who's still connected on 31 of 35 field
There's
goals.
no
He
shade to
hit a
Texas
60 yard.
State. Come on now, come on.
Yeah,
It's a
I'm
D1
talking
school.
in terms of conference, the conference. Yeah, not the Pac-12, not the
Whoa, whoa,
Pac-12.
yeah, no Pac-12 disrespect here. I mean, kickers
111
kickers are
PATs.
kickers, right? I mean,
Kickers are
hopefully you
kickers.
can drop them in between conferences and it doesn't matter. But it's a brighter light, is it not?
It is, but for me, it's just a veteran standpoint. He got a guy who's had so much real game experience, who knows, he's probably played a lot of big stage games. Obviously, the environment can change, but at the end of the day, it's like you said, it's just kicking, man. And that's why I just think that with the way that special teams went last year, there's going to be such a huge jump. And, I'd say that, maybe the one thing we'll miss this year is Silas Bolden on special teams. But if that's all I'm saying at the end of the year, I can live with that. And that lets me know we probably won a game or two that, we might not have allowed one last year. So,
JC, the last point I had, and you can jump in on this yet again, bringing up Arch Manning. I'm not saying why Texas will win the championship because Arch Manning. We're going to have to see if that is true. And I know Sark talked about it in recent press conferences. The team is not expecting him to do anything that he hasn't done in the past, right? They're not
sure.
expecting him to throw 900 touchdown passes like it seems like everyone's trying to hype him up to do. Of course, for Texas to win, he's got to be a little bit more than a game manager. He's going to be a playmaker. But my point about why Texas is in a better position this year, and yet again, I mentioned injuries earlier in terms of last year.
Sure.
They're going to be in a better spot because Arch is able to use his legs more. When things get a little clustered in the pocket, he's going to be able to break through. And I'm not saying every time. I'm not saying he's going to be Lamar Jackson, but there's going to be more opportunities where he can get these big chunks of yardage with his legs. And JC, I know last year, yet again, Quinn he was hurt. I mean, we're just putting that out there, right? He was hurt. There's nothing you can do about that. In the year
That's what you
prior,
said, yeah.
he actually did show that he could use his legs. I think he had one big run against Baylor, which made me laugh 2 years ago because it was
Ooh,
long, it was huge.
ooh, yeah.
People gave up on his running ability, but he showed that he can run, um, and so now hopefully he's healed up a little bit for the Miami Dolphins. But Arch is known for his running ability as well. So pairing it up, you might be seeing some trickery from Sark utilizing the running game from the quarterback standpoint. However, if you're a Longhorn fan, you don't want to see too much of that. I think Archie, his grandpa, said if you're anywhere near anybody else, either get down or get out of bounds. JC, the running ability for Arch, does that make you excited? Is this a new era of just mobility that the Longhorns haven't seen at the quarterback position since Sam, most likely? But even then, I think Arch is faster than Sam. Sam was a little more of a bulldozer player. How do you feel about
Yeah.
that aspect of Arch's game?
I mean, Devin, you see me smiling over here. You see me beaming. It's just because everything we're saying, we're already in sync. It's episode 1. We're moving and we're grooving. I
We're
mean, yeah,
mid-season
it's
4.
to quote one of your favorite movies. Yeah, I mean, basically, Grandpa Art said you gotta dodge, duck, dip, dive. That's really what Arch needs to do is just avoid getting into trouble. But yes, and I literally wrote down for our biggest point, it's return of the red zone offense. You got Cedric Baxter back. You got a downhill power back that's just going to go right up the gut in between the tackles. That right there, that's not exactly Trey Weissner's style, you can kind of say, and you even saw it against Ohio State. You see it with goal line stands. That wasn't really kind of his thing to do, was to just go right up the gut. That's what Baxter can do. Baxter's that kind of guy. You get him back. You get 6'4" Arch Manning, all 220 pounds of him. He doesn't go down, which will become a concern for Texas fans at one point because like
Don't go too
Arch,
much into
he's
Sam mode, right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
wanna
Let
you
the
wanna go
record
down.
show, yeah, yeah. Let the record show I was not calling, Grandpa Manning, Patrick O'Houlihan. That's not what I'm saying. Just making a little joke there, but Arch needs to know that it's okay to slide down and it's okay to get out of bounds. I mean, he just can't take a bad hit because it's like you said, injuries are such a special thing. Injuries are so big for the offense this year, and he's the guy that makes it happen. But for me, it's just having Arch inside the 10 with Cedric, with Trey Wisner, with our boom and our zoom. I just think it's going to open up the game so much. It's going to linebackers, they're going to have to give special attention to Arch Manning as a running threat. And that's why we'll see a little bit of RPO offense this year. We're going to see a lot of new things in the red zone. I don't think we've seen in a while. And I
Well,
think that
as you're saying,
the
just
thing,
respecting it, it
yeah,
changes the game. Like linebackers now have to
respect it.
respect it. That's a possibility.
And that's all it is. And, yeah, I mean, obviously they're not asking Arch to do everything. And I think if you're a Texas fan, you recognize that. But I think even from this 25-minute video, if you didn't know anything about Texas team, notice how we got through the entire video without having to bring attention to that quarterback. This team is so talented everywhere across the ball that Arch just has to come in, play above average ball, nothing crazy, but step up, make some big time throws, get some third down conversions, you know, and we're looking at a team that's ready to play in January, and that's all I got to say on this season.
Well, I think that's the nice, beautiful bow right there. That's why we got you on the call. I mean, as you mentioned, Arch Manning. I mean, it's going to be a name that people throw out 100 times, if not 100 million times, about why the Longhorns are where they're at. And I know he's the Heisman favorite, so it's not me just speculating. It is fact that he is being talked about so much, but having a good quarterback itself doesn't win championships, JC. Like you're saying, that's why this video is here because there are other elements at play for the Longhorns this year. Not winning a championship, at least not getting to the title game, I think would be a big disappointment because the Longhorns have a defense finally that is capable of winning it all and other playmakers at other key positions. Now I'm going to close it out here. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Check us out at hornsports.com for all the latest and get ready for a plethora of football content this season. It's Devon, JC. We appreciate all the support. Hook 'em and take care.